What's good everyone, it's Chris on a beat, and in this video I'm going to be making a boom bap style beat. Everyone's process is different, but I'm going to be sharing mine with you and some tips and tricks along the way that I use, so let's get into it. So I'm using FL Studio 20. To start off with, we'll set the BPM to, let's go to 88. So I'm just in Splice now, I'm just going to type in boom bap sample. Recently I've been trying to get more into actually creating my own samples. I'll do a video on that at a later date if that's something people are interested in, but for the purposes of this it's just easier to just show you this way. So we'll just go through a few samples and see what's hitting. That's hard. Yeah man, I'm going to download that and we'll chop that one up. So what I use for these style beats is Serato Sample. It's an amazing plugin if you're not familiar with it. It's definitely worth the money if you haven't invested in it. This is the thing everybody, right? You've got to invest in yourself. Like nobody ever made it to any degree of success without investing in their own success, basically, man. So that's what you've got to do. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is click find sample where it says that down here, set slicer, and you can scroll to different sections here. It sort of automatically makes cuts, so it's just a good starting point to start from, and then click set slicer. So at the moment I have to hold down the key on my keyboard to play the sample, but as soon as I let go of it, it stops. So to stop that from happening, just hit this button here with a little arrow on it, and that essentially turns every key hit into a one shot. So you can see as well, just by doing that, setting that slicer, it's done quite a good job of cutting up it into sections. So after it's cut up into different sections, I'll change the key of it. We want to change the sample as much as we can. I usually go down by 3 semitones first, see what it sounds like. Yeah. And you can see just by doing that, it already sounds hard. Sometimes you have to go up, sometimes you go down. I just find that 3 semitones is a good amount for some reason. So now I'm just going to have a play around on the keys and find some decent cuts, man. Yeah, that sounds hard. Let's record it in. So now that we've got that in, I'm just going to make sure the velocity of all the notes is at the highest, and we'll listen to it. So if that happens, just make that cut, take that off there. That's why it wasn't looping straight back. Also, if you select all, Control L, that will take all of the notes to the very end of each bar. So now I always like to consolidate the file, so click onto the actual timeline, hit Control Alt C, and that will consolidate that file into an actual audio file. Now what I tend to do is just put that into the mixer, change the mode to stretch, normalize it, bring the volume right down because it's usually way too loud after you normalize it, and just listen to that. So now what I want to do is just try and change it a little bit more, man, because it is just off splice, so I don't want it to be exactly as it was. Sometimes I like to reverse things so you get some cool effects by doing that. Let's listen to that. That's actually worked really well. One trick that I like to do is if you make cuts on each bar just like this and then swap them around, so put them back to front basically, and listen to that. So now that it's in the mixer channel as well, I'm just going to do a bit of EQing, take out some of the low end because we'll add our own bass. Take out a little bit of the high end as well. And then I always run samples through the RC20. The vinyl 3 preset is really nice. Yeah man, that sounds hard. And then I always like to put on a bit of a doubler as well, just to make the sound wider. So next I'm going to start adding just some basic drums. So you can use breaks or actual drums for this. I'm going to use J Cactus's the source kit for this one, and let's just go through some sounds, try and get some bangers going. Yeah, I like that one. I always put the velocity of the shots up to the highest that they can go in the beginning, and then take this slightly off the center for boom bap. You don't want everything hitting directly onto the grid. Add a little shaker as well, why not? Let's see. I'm going to get the kick in there, man. I love putting the kick in, it just starts to fill everything out, you know, you really start to get a sense of what the beat is actually saying. Now on the kicks, turn everything up to the hardest velocity, but then on this is almost like a little sub kick, like a faint kick, just before that, the next kick basically. So if I turn this off as well and just drag this across, we don't want everything on the same. You can manually change each one as well, and it's worth doing because it just gives that more natural vibe to the drums. I'm just going to drag these over and replicate that. Get a crash in there as well. Now I always put my kicks in mono. Some people do, some people don't. I always put the kick in mono for whatever reason. I've read about that before, so that I always just mix all of the kicks and bass actually in mono. I'm also going to adjust the swing and turn it up a lot on Boom-Bap. Hard. I'm just going to add this little perk in as well, just for a little bit of extra underneath. add that in the same on every single one. I'm going to do a little bit of panning as well with those elements because it just gives it more space. For the bass, I use Contact. This is a game changer, man. I struggled with bass for a very long time. This plugin right here, Scarby Rickenbacker bass, is clean. Especially for this genre, man. So I believe in Serato's sample we changed the key of the sample to F minor. So I'm going to start around that place and see, just play some keys, try and figure it out. It's the best way. If it sounds right, it's right. You know what I mean? You don't need to know loads of music theory. It definitely helps, don't get me wrong. But don't let it put you off. You know, if it sounds right, you know when it sounds off, for sure. And what I like to do is go up a higher octave, so you can actually hear it while you're playing it in. Yep, sick. So keep it basic, man. You don't have to overcomplicate things in the beginning. Just get it right. Do you know what I'm saying? Take it down, all down an octave, control down. Take that entire sequence and hold shift and drag. And then I'm going to consolidate this again, Control Alt C. So now we have that one file again. Send it to a new mixer track. It's going to have to go to a new mixer track. Normalize and bring it down. So we have that same thing again, but now we're going to pitch that down a full octave. Put the drums under it, see what it's saying. You need to do something like that to switch up the beat, otherwise it just becomes repetitive. So it's like a chorus and a verse section. Alright, so now I'm at this stage. What I'm going to do is make this full drum pattern and split that. What I'm going to do at this stage is take that full drum loop and split it by channel, and then I can remove all of these, and now I have every single piece individually. Okay, so it makes it much easier to control each different drum element. Now I'm just going to replicate it quite a few times just to get an idea of where we're at. That's good. So that's going to be 8 bars, and then I'm going to bring the verse in. Take the bass out for the first section. Take those out as well. So every 8 bars I like to switch something up, so what I'm going to do here is just cut all of those drums out. See what it sounds like? We don't need the crash there. And I'll cut the drums out of this last section here as well. And then go back into the chorus essentially, and this is just a really basic structure. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more tips, and let me know what other types of beats you want me to make and give tutorials on. If you've got any other questions, please make sure you get in touch in the comment section. Much love, man. Peace.